Hello, everyone. Hello. This is the MMA Fighting UFC Tampa official weigh-ins live stream. This is the voice of Alexander K. Lee coming to you on a lovely Friday morning. Well, up here in Canada, I am not in Tampa. I'm not in Tampa, Florida, but you know who is? My best friend, Mike Heck. Mike Heck has been on site all week, bringing you fantastic coverage, video, writing. You guys name it. If you've seen it at UFC Tampa, Mike's been on it. And now he's bringing you my favorite part of any UFC event, the weigh-ins. Mike, are you there right now? I don't know if Mike can chime in right now. Mike, are you there right now, my best friend?
Hello, everybody.
Oh.
Hope you're all doing fantastic. Hi, AK.
Hey, Florida Mike.
Florida Mike is here. Big smile on my face. Feeling relaxed. Feeling good.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We should have a fun weigh-in.
We're always going to have a fun weigh-in. Yeah, we've got some characters today. Again, we've got the return of Colby Covington. We got the resurgent Joaquin Buckley. Just turned his reputation around in 2024.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Not guys, that is the UFC's audio you were hearing. That's Joaquin Buckley turning things around. Not everyone would agree. I think the man in the co-main event, Cub Swanson, still a little salty with Mr. Buckley over some previous disagreements they had over social media. So hopefully that gets patched up before the weekend's over. Also in the co-main event, Billy Quarantillo. And we got some flyweight action as well. Manel Kape and Bruno Silva. Let me get the exact schedule here, guys. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Yes, we have flyweights on the main card. I always wonder if they're going to get bumped down. No, that is your third from last fight, Manel Kape, Bruno Silva. A fight that I think could determine maybe not the guy who's next. I know they've been trying to get Kape a title shot for a while. But Bruno Silva also on a hell of a streak. Really, he'd be very deserving of a title shot. So we'll see what they decide with Pantoja heading in 2025. And then, guys, it's a fight night. So you have your usual smorgasbord of some intriguing veteran matchups, some newcomers. No one too fresh off Contender Series. I believe we only have one fight, if I'm looking at this correctly, that features Contender Series guys, or one Contender Series guy making his debut. So I like this card. I think it's got pretty good depth. I think we've got some good storylines going into it. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it is the last UFC card of this calendar year 2024. So hopefully we can all enjoy it together. We are moments away from the weigh-ins beginning. As you guys know, it'll probably be a bit of a rush. I believe they are using the revised sort of weigh-in system where, they try to get everyone in the first hour. And if you miss the first hour, then that's what the second hour is for. But I will shut my yap, guys, once some of the big names start rolling up to the scale.
I'll give you a sip if you can spare it, but I don't want to ruin it. Just okay. You don't come this far to ruin it by an ounce. That's good money.
What's up, everyone? What's up, Alexander Shea? What's up, Ant G523, Scott McCrate, Olajuwon Dream? What is up, everyone? I see you guys in the chat.
Good? Yeah. It's 8:59, so
Shout outs to my weigh-in freaks.
What is it, Dean? Still 59 seconds. Just like
by the time he's on the scale. By the way, that's not for my own ego. I left my phone in Thailand at a place.
A little bit of buzz going, guys. We'll get it. Shout out MMA Parlay King. Shout out Reggie. MMA Parlay King says Tavares fight is going to be a banger. Yeah, Tavares is like, I feel like he could be one of those guys because I thought his fight with the second fight with Surrey City was pretty good.
The weigh-ins. We begin it with the first half of the main event. 9th-ranked welterweight contender Joaquin Buckley.
Man, I might be a little heavy, man. Go ahead. Help your brother out.
171.
Official weight 171 pounds for Joaquin Buckley. Next to the scale, Miranda Maverick.
$126.
Official weight 126 pounds for Miranda Maverick. Next to the scale, the other half of the main event, Colby Covington.
171.
Official weight 171 pounds for Colby Covington.
There you go, guys. Your main
Next to
event
the scale,
is set.
Piera Rodriguez.
$116.
Official weight 116 pounds for Piera Rodriguez. Next to the scale, Adrian Yanez.
$136.
Official weight 136 pounds for Adrian Yanez. Next to the scale, Tuco, Tokkos.
$206.
Official weight 206 pounds for Tuco, Tokkos. Next to the scale, Michael Johnson.
$156.
Official weight 156 pounds for Michael Johnson.
156 for Michael Johnson. Weigh-in number 30. Congrats to Michael Johnson. 30. This is 30
Next
UFC
to the scale,
appearances.
Billy Quarantillo.
That's Billy Q, the co-main event.
$146.
Official weight 146 pounds for Billy Quarantillo. Next to the scale, Felipe Lima.
$146.
Official weight 146 pounds for Felipe Lima. Next to the scale, Daniel Marcos.
$136.
Official weight 136 pounds for Daniel Marcos. Next to the scale, Josephine Knudsen.
$116.
Official weight 116 pounds for Josephine Knudsen. Next to the scale, Jamey-Lyn Horth.
$126.
Official weight 126 pounds for Jamey-Lyn Horth. Next to the scale, Ottman Azaitar.
156.
Official weight 156 pounds for Ottman Azaitar. Next to the scale, Navajo Stirling.
$206.
Official weight 206 for Navajo Stirling. Next to the scale, Bruno Silva.
Sorry.
126.
Official weight 126 pounds for Bruno Silva. Next to the scale, Miles Johns.
We're flying by here, guys. Here comes Miles Johns, one of the sleeper contenders at 135. This is a 145-pound fight, though, so don't be alarmed if he comes in.
146.
Official weight 146 pounds for Miles Johns.
Miles Johns was scheduled to fight Cody Garbrandt recently, so he got another booking quick. That fight fell through, and it was like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and didn't want to go through another cut down to 135. So he's just temporarily taking.
Next to the scale, Davey Grant.
$136.
Official weight 136 pounds for Davey Grant.
Thanks, Daddy.
Who's talking? George Vasilev. This is Alexander K. Lee of MMA Fighting.
Next to the scale, Fernando Padilla.
Been trying to stay silent during these weigh-ins, but chiming in with commentary here and there. We'll fill in the spots if we have a little break.
$145.5.
Official weight 145.5 for Fernando Padilla.
Hi, George Vasilev in the chat. Lazy Bed, thank
Next
you
to
for
the
the
scale,
compliment.
Sean Woodson.
Jay, thank you. It's my birthday, as it is every day.
$145.5.
Official weight 145.5 for Sean Woodson.
Two ginormous featherweights, excuse me. I mean, they could be heavyweights for their height, but Woodson 6'2", Fernando Padilla 6'1". That is going to be a fun one to watch for sure. And it looks like maybe we have ourselves a little break. Tony Ewan, my wife has bigger arms than this guy. Yeah, listen, these are two tall glasses of water at 145. All right, it's going to be wait till you see them step in the cage together. It is going to look freaky, and I mean that in the nicest way to both fighters. I'm actually really looking forward to Padilla and Sean Woodson. I saw some. Oh, what does the K stand for in AK Lee? The K stands for quality of spelling. That is what I'm all about here. So I would never mess around with the spelling of words. Alexander, quality Lee. I'm just trying to see who do we have left. What? Mike?
You're not lying, AK. You're not lying.
There you go. Mike's back as well, guys. So Mike is also here for anyone tuning in. Mike is there, I should say, at Amalie Arena. That's not where the weigh-in is taking place. Are you at a hotel right now, Mike?
I'm at the Fighter Hotel.
Okay.
Ceremonials will be at Emily.
Yes,
At
that's
4
right.
o'clock.
There will be ceremonials because again, but UFC's on the road, guys. We are at least ending. It's not a pay-per-view, but we are ending on the road. We're not at the UFC Apex. I bet that this will set a gate record again for Amalie Arena. Every time the UFC goes on the road these days for a fight night, they are just crushing numbers. Doesn't matter who they have in the main event. And this time they've got a pretty good main event with Colby Covington. and Joaquin Buckley, at least as far as pairing up someone with some, legitimate name value and someone who is a rising contender at welterweight. Joaquin Buckley, 5-0. 5-0 since making that drop down to 170 pounds. So a lot of intrigue there. Fan-friendly fight in the co-main events.
I think we may be picking back up.
Alrighty then. That's good.
Don't know.
I'm just trying to keep track of who we're still waiting for. I believe we are still waiting on other co-main event, Cub Swanson. Billy Q did weigh in successfully. So guys, just check going to my notes here. We are waiting, as we often are, on Manel Kape when it is a Manel Kape fight week. We are also waiting on Vitor Petrino, Dustin Jacoby, Joel Alvarez. Again, a big guy. I don't want to scare anyone, but large man has some 155 is a tough go. Drakkar Klose, who I wouldn't be worried about. Other than that,
we got more coming. AK.
Here we go. Ramon Tavares as well. I will also be silent for a bit. Let's see who comes up here. Yeah, Toby, we are waiting on Kape. Left lane, you're right. Alvarez and Kape are concerns for sure. Fingers crossed, everyone. We want perfect weigh-ins. We want everyone to make weight. We don't want anyone to get fined. We don't want anyone to be in bad health either. That's the most importantly. 26 total fights, guys. We're a little over halfway through, I think, of the fighters, but we got plenty to go. Again, they're trying to get people in the first hour, guys. That is the goal. Get them in the first hour. If they must weigh in again, then they have a whole second hour pending clearance from the commission and from a physician, of course.
Next to the scale, Vitor Petrino.
We got some light heavyweight action here.
Let's go, vambora, papai.
204.5.
Official weight 204.5 for Vitor Petrino.
Good job by Vitor, making weight. Left lane MMA asking, even odds for Kape to make weight. You taking the yes or no? Yes to make weight. I will also take yes for Manel Kape to once again disappoint on fight night, because I do not. I'll never understand what the big deal with this guy is. I really don't. He is. How long ago was his Ryzen run? We're talking about 5 years ago. I feel like he's living off his Ryzen run still. Yeah. He had a couple of finishes in the UFC. They were great, but like, how often is like this guy being hyped to me as some badass contender, and then he just craps the bed in one way or another? So, not a Manel Kape fan. I'll say it right now.
How dare you?
Yeah, go ahead. The whole MMA.
I mean, look, you're not wrong. He has he's fallen a little bit short.
Yeah,
but it's big. This is a big moment for him. He's a heavy favorite here. I think it's a pretty good stylistic matchup, as long as he doesn't get taken down a whole bunch by Bruno Silva. And we saw it in the Makaya fight. Like, Manel struggled with the takedowns earlier, but he got a little bit better getting back up. So yeah, it's a big fight for both guys. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I got it, and he's fresh. He's a fresh challenger.
He is on his way.
The whole MMA fighting crew loves Manel Kape. All I hear from and I was excited when he came over from Ryzen too, but I was just like, okay, well, let's see it. And then he kind of like, and then, he's beating guys he's supposed to beat, which is good. That's all you can ask. I mean, you want fighters to do that. Delivered a couple of highlights. You see the moments of excitement, the explosiveness. I mean, the finishing power at 125, of course, is always a selling point. And I wouldn't complain. Look, I'm not going to complain if the guy gets a title shot. He's exciting. I've just been a bit disappointed with the Manel Kape experience on many levels, performance-wise and personality-wise. Not always the nicest guy.
Next to the scale, Dustin Jacoby.
Here comes Vitor Petrino's opponent, Dustin Jacoby.
You can take that chain and get it to me. You'll 206. 205.5.
Official weight 205.5 for Dustin Jacoby.
That fight with Vitor Petrino is now official. George is asking, are you predicting Kai Sakura's UFC career right now? I mean, again, I said this on before the Pantoja's fight that I actually think Kai is going to hang around for quite a while in the UFC as long as he wants to. Very exciting fighter. Yep, again, a guy with knockout power in a lighter weight class. I do think he'll want to go back to 135 eventually if he wants to fight more frequently. If Kai's plan is to fight like twice a year, I think 125 is fine. I think it's not fun. He's a pretty big 125er. You guys all saw that in the Pantoja fight. And obviously just making, championship weight that one time, he's fully dedicating the entire camp to it. So I'm sure it sucked, but I wasn't worried about the miss. If he was to have to make 125 or 126 again, like 3 times a year, that's a lot to ask. And so he's, eventually going to get older. So I do think his future is at 135. And I don't know if he ever contends for a title again, but he should be a really, really exciting addition to the UFC just in general. So I don't know. But if you're talking about like him having hype from Ryzen and not necessarily establishing himself as like a top 5 guy in his division, whether it be 125 or 135. Yeah, I guess that's reasonable. Again, he got the insta shot at 125, so he already has that above most UFC newcomers, most hype guys. But that was a lot to do with circumstance. But yeah, I do think Kai's gonna have a successful future, but it could be a little Kape-esque. I just don't think he's gonna have some of the stinkers that Kape has, but I also think he might take some losses that Kape hasn't, if you know what I mean. Like he might there might be some KOs in Kai's future, like it that way. There might be some getting got in Kai's future, which again we saw in Ryzen as well. I mean, this isn't new. This happened in Ryzen as well. So
Just give us Kai versus Kai, AK. That's all I ask. If he's gonna
it makes so much sense.
Kai versus Kai first.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Lazy Bet, more likely to find themselves on a GFL roster sooner rather than later. Jacoby or Swanson? Definitely Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby is a mercenary, man. I mean, let's not forget he was with the UFC, went to go kickbox just because man's got to eat. He's good at it. Does pretty well in kickboxing, and then comes back to the UFC and has a resurgence, way better in his second run than in his first run. He's 36 years young. He'll turn 37 in April. That's youthful for the GFL apparently. So I think that's a great question, Lazy Bet. I think I would say it's likely you'll see Dustin Jacoby fight for GFL someday. If anyone fights for GFL ever, Mike, are you there?
I am here.
What is your feel for this GFL thing? Be nice.
No, I'm obviously skeptical, but obviously most of my mindset is like this has to work, and we need it to work. And then a lot of people are looking at the roster and everything. Actually, we're gonna have to wait on that because Cubby's here. Yeah.
Comes Cub Swanson. His opponent Billy Quarantillo has already successfully weighed in. Billy Q was 146, I believe. A lot of fighters using that extra pound for a non-title fight. The one and only saying, just bring Makaya back from waivers to a title shot. It's in play, guys. It's in play. He's got a fight today. Let's check the time zone. I don't think it happened yet. Pretty sure it has not happened yet.
Next to the scale, Cub Swanson.
Gotta get it right, huh? $146.
Official weight 146 pounds for Cub Swanson.
$146 for Cub Swanson. That co-main event is official. His fight with Billy Quarantillo. Really great looking fight on paper. Cub Swanson. This is UFC appearance 25. Of course, I'm only counting UFC appearances. If you want to throw in WC, there's plenty more. I believe he's got I think like near close to 40. If you're just talking UFC WC appearances, something like that. Just UFC, he's has the third most wins behind Darren Elkins and Max Holloway. Well behind. He has 14-10 record. Darren Elkins 18 wins. Holloway has 20 wins. Shout out to Mike Bond and Michael Carroll, of course, for always providing those stats on MMAJunkie.com. I always like to check those out. So Cub had a little ill-advised, I thought, move down to 135. Did not love that. Not my favorite thing. Now coming off a split decision loss to Andre Fili, I see people saying retirement. I think with Cub, just at the stage he's at and how long he's been competing for, that's always going to be, a possibility. But if he continues to fight, I think a lot of people are going to be happy. He's just one of those classic warriors, guys. Just old school, no drama other than whatever's going on. What was going on with Joaquin Buckley? But I mean, again, that was someone sort of coming after him. And just really an exciting fighter. We're gonna have good memories of Cub Swanson. I was trying to reach some point to say like, oh, Cub Swanson's a Hall of Famer or something like that. And it's like, I don't think that matters. I think he's gonna get he's in the Hall. Sorry. You know what? We need like a separate designation for guys in the fight wing. Because he's in the Hall of Fame. Duo Choi is always in the Hall of Fame with him. Clay Guida is a Hall of Famer already. Diego Sanchez is a Hall of Famer because of the fight wing. Petey Williams. Was it Petey Williams who kicked Mark Coleman in the face? He gets in the Hall of Fame. So Mark Coleman's like a 2-time Hall of Famer, I think. One of them for getting kicked in the face. It's a weird designation to be a Hall of Famer from the fight wing. But you're right. That is what these guys are. So.
Yeah, it's like Ric Flair getting in the WWE Hall of Fame like 3 times.
I mean, those are at least for stables that like he was a key part of. It's weird. Like, I don't know. We need a different name for fight wing guys. But yeah, officially, because I think I told you when I think it was Anik last week when he was like UFC Hall of Famer Duho Choi. I was like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, right. The Cub Swanson fight. Run it back. You know what, guys? Just yeah.
All right. GFL.
Yes. Here. Mike, you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me?
You are back, sir. Yes.
Okay. I know everyone is sort of up in arms with the roster, and there are certain names on that roster that kind of scare the hell out of me. At the same time, as long as those guys are fighting each other, I don't have a problem with it. Like if Frank Mir is fighting Rebellis to Spain, I don't want that. I don't want to see those older dudes fight these younger. I mean, not that Rebellis is like a spring chicken. However, I don't want to see like Vanderlei fight Dustin Jacoby if he goes to GFL or like something like that. As long as those guys are fighting each other, then I actually am somewhat okay with it to draw viewers. My biggest concern is, can they create stars on top of the name value they have? And that is always my concern. That's my concern with PFL. That's my concern with every promotion right now. So I'm going to hold judgment, keep my skepticism positive, and then I'm going to be quiet because someone's coming up to the scale.
Thank you, Mike.
Next to the scale, Drakkar Klose.
$156.
156 pounds, the official weight for Drakkar Klose.
Drakkar Klose 156. The man who would be ranked. Not quite in our rankings. I don't think he's in the UFC rankings. He is not, despite being on an incredibly strong run. He just hasn't been able to get a name opponent. He has won 4 straight fights, 9-2 in the UFC. Probably missing a few like signature finishes. He did have that insanely nasty slam of Joe Selecki. Outside of that, yes. Oh, what's going on? Yes, Mike, I hear you.
I have a special guest with us live. Captain Eric is here.
Oh, I thought I heard Captain Eric.
Weigh-in stream. Captain Eric, the world could hear you celebrating when Bruno Silva got up to the scale. How did he look in your opinion?
I think Bruno Bulldogs looks like the next flyweight title contender. That's what I think. He looked great. He looked well prepared. His nutrition's on point, And, there's a lot on the line for this fight. Rankings is on the line. Flyweight dominance is on the line. But more importantly, the title shot is on the line.
Love that. So you feel Bruno goes in there and gets the job done no matter how he does it. He should be next for Pantoja.
He does have 4 performance of the fight night bonuses. That's 4 in a row. If he can finish Manel Kape, that'll be 5 in a row. There's nobody in the history of the flyweight division that's had more of an impact other than Demetrius Johnson. And after that came Henry saving the flyweight division.
Oh, we'd love to hear that.
And that's right. Bruno, what people don't understand is Cejudo. I brought in Bruno to train Cejudo for Formiga. And at that time, we brought in Pantoja as well. So these two, Bruno and Bulldog. Matter of fact, Brandon Moreno was in that camp too. So all those guys were initially training partners of Cejudo, and Bruno was my fighter from Brazil and Timo Guerra.
Well, we are looking forward to this fight. Captain Eric checking in here on the MMA Fighting Weigh-In show here. The man, the myth, the legend. Hope you guys could still hear me because someone decided, you know what would be a great idea is to walk around a room full of wires just texting away. And that's what this gentleman did, and he tripped over the mic wire.
No.
I don't feel bad at all. I don't feel bad at all, especially because he didn't rip the wire out of the camera. So back to you, AK. A little special guest action. Well, maybe we'll try to get another person or two in here to find some more celebs.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Eric. Yeah, for anyone who heard the shouting during Bruno Silva's weigh-in, that was, of course, the great Eric Alvarez. So I don't think I need to tell you that. I think most of you guys recognized him. Mike was talking about the roster of GFL. I'm not too worried about the roster either. I agree with him. Like, we always talk about age-appropriate matchmaking. We always talk about Legends League. So, like, if they can put together some fun, matchups of veterans we know, guys in name value, matches we never thought would be possible, there's that element to it. That's not a terrible way to launch a new MMA promotion. I will say, though, it just almost feels like they're going too big. And I know you kind of have to in this space if you're trying to make an impact, if you're to be taken seriously. But they kind of went through this. This is the same company that was WFL a few years ago. And I understand. I'm not shitting on them. I'm not saying like, oh, wow, what a farce. Like they did their first attempt to launch promotion, didn't work out and blah, blah. Like launching businesses is hard, especially with how ambitious these guys sound. But like, I almost wish more.
Let me ask you a question, AK.
Yeah.
How important is the TV deal going to be for them? Or do they need, could they just be a YouTube entity, kind of like Game Bread? Or do they have to get some sort of television or streaming distribution for this to be as successful as they think it's going to be?
I feel like they need to, with the amount of money that is. Again, we don't know figures. I will say we don't know figures, but with the way they're promoting themselves, with what the fighters are saying, is like how happy they are with their contracts, and considering we're talking about guys like Anthony Pettis, who has, as far as we know, has been really good about getting himself good paydays every time he goes. So he's like, goes to the PFL and sort of starts his. He's big, he's got his own sports management company. So when he says a contract is good, it's got to be up there in value, dollar-wise. And I just and then we're talking about, again, 50 other guys or however many that they've even just announced. A lot of these guys are big ticket items. Would be big ticket items for any promotion they fought for. So there has to be some dependable revenue stream, unless they're pulling a one championship and they've got like investors upon investors upon investors upon investors and are confident that they can keep getting new investors or getting their current investors to re-up every year, which again is possible. I'm not a businessman. I know that's how a lot like these guys work sometimes. You just keep getting investors and with the hope that someday it's going to turn to profitability. And if you're good at it, you can make this, you can kind of string this along for a long time, but we just know so little about how they're going to operate in that sense. So I would, if they get a TV deal, some sort of TV deal, some sort of streaming deal, fantastic. And I think it would make us feel a lot more confident about where this concept is heading. I'll give it a shot for sure. I'll give it a shot. We'll certainly cover it at MMAfighting.com. It's always great to have another promotion with major names and major ambition. But yes, we should all be cautiously optimistic, wishing them the best. Absolutely wishing GFL nothing but the best, and hoping there's another alternative out there for fighters. But I was going to say, I was thinking about XMMA. You guys ever heard the promotion XMMA? I don't think it stands for anything. I was going to say it stands for, I think it's just XMMA. I don't know if they're still running, to be honest with you, but I did like their approach. They haven't held an event since May 2023, but I did like their approach. You guys go to like Tapology and just check the lineups for these ex-MMA cards. Same idea. It's almost all ex-UFC, ex-Bellator guys. And for me, like this felt a little more manageable. Again, I say this not knowing if this promotion is still running, but I almost wish like anyone started a new promotion would be a little more smaller scale. Because I just am so hesitant when someone comes out making all these promises. But there we go. Guys, we were talking about Makayev earlier briefly. I just want to remind people, he does have a fight today. Brave Combat Federation. Brave CF 91. I think the prelims start at 11:30 Eastern Time. AM, excuse me, guys, 11:30 AM Eastern Time. Of course, they're ahead of us over there in Bahrain. And I want to see if you can watch it. I see on Tapology US broadcast on YouTube, but I just want to double check. That might not be the case. I am seeing a link. Again, I am in Canada, so we may have different geo-lock situations here, guys, but I do see a link for today, Brave CF 91. So if you guys want to see Makayev in action, again, he had a little bit of a troubles getting an opponent. His originally scheduled opponent had a rib injury, Lutando Biko, from a champion from EFC, from Extreme Fighting Championship Worldwide. That was kind of intriguing. So now we got a late note guy stepping on day's notice. Joe Vincent So, who has competed for UAE Warriors. So he's not unfamiliar to the region. We will see. I think a little bit less a record less impressive than Makayev's original opponent, but yes, Makayev guys is fighting today. I believe he's not even the main or co-main because there's a title fight on there, but he's pretty high up in the main card. So I guess around our time it'll be our Eastern time, say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you've got nothing to do, check out Brave CF 91. See how Makayev fares. I feel like if he can just run through this guy, maybe you guys are right. You've been saying in the comments that Makayev, they just sign him back up, get that Pantoja fight going, because we still have him ranked. I mean, listen, just because he's not in the UFC rankings doesn't mean he's not a top 10 flyweight. He's top 10 flyweight in my book. 12-0, extensive amateur career. All right, guys. I should tell you guys who we are still waiting on, shouldn't I? I apologize. Let me give you a little bit of update here. We are waiting on Manel Kape, one of the most anticipated weigh-ins for sure. His opponent has already made weight. Bruno Silva, 126. Could determine the next flyweight title challenger. Joel Alvarez, another big guy, 155. His opponent, Drakkar Klose, has made weight. So we're just waiting on Joel Alvarez. And we are waiting on Ramon Tavares, who has also had issues making weight. So the usual suspects, I should say. Guys, let's all channel our positive energies and hope that Joel Alvarez and Manel Kape and Ramon Tavares make weight. Not just for them, but for the sake of their opponents, guys. It sucks. It sucks if you're a fighter and your opponent misses weight. Not only are you at a disadvantage if the fight goes through, you drained yourself so much. There's a chance the fight gets canceled. That's out of your hands. If the other person's messed up their weight cut and they come in over, then the next day they don't get medically cleared, you're out of a fight. The UFC is probably not going to give you your full show money, if any. So we're not just hoping for Ramon and Manel Kape and Joel Alvarez. We are hoping for their opponents. Drakkar Klose, Ramon Tavares, and Bruno Silva. Let's go to the comments here. MMA cult. Makayev will never come back. Hunter told us already. Do your job. Yeah, MMA cult. Because the UFC always sticks with their word when they say something's never going to happen, right? That's good word right there. You've been watching MMA since 2020? So I understand your take on that. That's what I would think too if I was had only been watching MMA for less than 5 years. Bauer MMA. Buckley's definitely not a lock. No, Bauer, I agree. I actually, maybe perhaps pessimistically, I mean, there's a chance that Covington just we get the best version of him, and he is just putting the pace on Buckley. He's got his takedowns going. This is I think what makes this matchup so intriguing. It's if you don't like Buckley and you want to see Buckley maybe get rocked, I mean, there's a chance that happens, but there's a very good chance that Covington, 2-1 underdog from where I'm seeing, there's a very good chance that that Covington again. This is a guy who's fought for 3 world titles. Some of it to do with again his promotional skills, his mic work, but he's not a bad fighter. 2 great fights with Kamaru, and the Leon Edwards fight was regrettable, but again, probably shouldn't have got that title fight in the first place. MMA Parlay King. MMA Parlay King. I'm only going to read out your I'm only going to read out your parlay because you are the Parlay King. Were you anyone else, I would say I would not read this out because it's irresponsible. But you're the king. So Stirling, Maverick, Billy Q, Alvarez, Petrino, 5-leg parlay. Parlay King calling it a lock. I don't know. I assume those are all favorites. Or what do we say? Stirling. Yeah, Sterling's has to be a huge favorite, right? Yeah. Stirling minus 500. Maverick, I imagine, is also favored. Billy Q. What's that Billy Q odds?
Those are close. Those are close.
Okay, but still, yeah, minus 160 Billy Q. All right. And what else is in there? Parlay King. What else is in there? Petrino. Oh, we were saying Petrino's favored. That's right. Yeah. What's the odds there for Petrino? 2-1. Minus 280. My gosh.
Yeah, he's
3-1. The
I have a couple bets on this couple, AK.
Were you? I'm sorry, I did not listen to this week's. I did not listen to this week's episode. I assume you were the guest on No Bets Barred this week.
I was not. I was actually a guest on Yanez the Greek's podcast this week, which just kind of happened last minute. But I have a bet on Colby, just because, only because I don't know what this fight's going to look like at all, and he's just such a sizable dog that he's worth a shot. I have the over 4.5 in that fight, and then I have Cubby and Billy Q under 2.5. Plus 105. Because those two, look, Cub's a gamer, and as soon as Billy starts fighting in front of his crowd and those people go bananas, they're just gonna beat the hell out of each other. It's gonna be a delight. It's gonna be incredible theater and action. And I don't think that fight goes to the card. So I took a little plus money shot at the under 2.5.
Under 2.5. This is a 5-rounder.
3-rounder.
3-rounder. Oh, okay. Under 2.5. Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay, Cub did go. I mean, Cub's only fought has not fought much since 2021. But yeah, Darren Elkins was under. That was an under win. Giga Chikadze was under. Daniel Pineda was under. Okay, you know what? He's had a stretch of unders. So okay, and the last 2 fights went to decision, which is understandable. On him and Andre Fili I doubt that anyone was going to finish. Same with Hakeem Dawodu, decision merchant. So okay, but this fight, Billy Q, a little more combustible.
Yeah,
Billy Q. Yeah,
just because it's in Tampa. Just because Billy's fighting in front of his peeps.
Yeah, I think some crazy stuff might happen.
Hey, he's 36. He knows he's just in there for a good time at this point, and he's just so. He said at media day that when he told his wife that he was fighting Cub Swanson, his wife had gone on to tell friends and family. He goes, it's the happiest I've ever seen him, and that includes. She goes. He was like, I don't think she included like getting married and having children, but outside of that, it was the happiest she had ever seen Billy Q.
Yeah.
When she found out he's fighting Cub Swanson on this card, which is pretty fun.
We don't know that those weren't included. You're just saying they weren't. He didn't explicitly say that they were.
That's what he's. Yeah. He was just yeah. You never know.
No comment. Best for Billy Q not to lay out his cards like that. Billy Q in an interesting situation. Alternated wins and losses. If you want to go back to the Kyle Nelson knockout from September 2020, alternated wins and losses in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 fights. 8 fights. So maybe he's due. If you believe in that sort of thing, you shouldn't, because these kind of trends really have nothing to do with predicting future stuff. But it is always fun. I always find it interesting when someone's alternating wins and losses. And gosh, he's just in a Shark Tank division. Yusuf Zalal was his last fight. Zalal has looked fantastic since coming back to the UFC. Damon Jackson before that, always a tough out. He won that one. Lost to Edson Barbosa. No shame in that. Beat Alexander Hernandez. Lost to Shane Burgos. Beat Gabriel Benitez. A lot of tough fights in here. Billy Q, and now getting a nice co-main event spot. This is the sweet spot for Billy Q. This is why you keep guys like this on the roster. Again, everyone, we're still waiting on Manel Kape, Joel Alvarez, and Ramon Tavares. And yes, I would be concerned for all 3. This is normal. I'm the Prince of Positivity. There's normally the part where I tell you like, oh, someone's probably just like, they're so good at making weight. They're not worried. Don't worry about them. They're just taking their time. But these are three gentlemen who have had issues with the scale in the past. Let's run it down a little bit. Hate to do this to you guys, but Joel Alvarez, twice the young man has missed weight. Thiago Moises, he missed by 1.5 pounds. Alexander Yakovlev, remember that guy? Joel Alvarez missed weight for that fight by 3.5 pounds. It's like he's a huge lightweight. He's up there like Jalen Turner size. Like I'm shocked both these guys compete at lightweight. Jalen Turner, I definitely feel like should move up to 170, and I would say the same for Joel. But we'll see today, man. If they can make the cut, I get it. I get why they do it, and I don't like it. But if it's best for their career, it's what's best for their career. Manel Kape. Mike, are you there? Mike's unavailable. Manel Kape missed weight for his rematch with Nicolau. Yes, I was trying to just keep track of weight misses, and I was trying to remember with Manel. He has missed weight twice, right? And only one time they actually the Ode Osborne he missed weight and won. That was one of his highlight reel knockouts. So honestly, we should strike that one from the record. Missed weight by 3 pounds. And then he also missed weight for the Nicolau rematch by 3.5 pounds. And that fight got canceled. So 2 weight misses technically for Kape. Surprised I didn't write this down before. 2 weight misses for Kape, one of which actually went through. The other one got canceled. So huge concerns there. And where's our other guy? Yes, relatively new to the UFC, Ramon Taveras, but already with a spotty kind of weigh-in situation. Ramon missed weight for Contender Series, if I'm not mistaken. Coming in, 136.3 for a bantamweight bout with Surrey City. Gets knocked out. Comes back to Contender Series again. Gets his own quick knockout. Fights City 297 this past January. I was there. And I think, did he miss weight again, or did they just change to a catch weight bout? I am going to look into this. I totally forgot the circumstance. Again, I was there, and I don't remember what happened. I feel like this wasn't scheduled as a catch weight. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, because City weighed in at 135. And then Taveras came in at 139.8. So a bad look for young Mr. Taveras. And again, we're waiting for 3 guys who have had 2 fights with weight issues: Manel Kape, Joel Alvarez, and Roman Taveras. I'm sorry, guys. Very depressing thing to talk about. What is going on here? Okay, just. The one and only says Kape has his best fights at the scale. Well, I mean, he's lost a couple of times. So if that's his best, I mean, it's not going great. Oscar's asking 20 minutes remaining. Yes. 15 minutes remaining now in the first weigh-in window, guys. There is a second weigh-in window. It's not, if you don't come in the first hour, guys, it is not a firm, you missed. It is not like, you had to weigh in the first hour. This is just something they've done to try and streamline. And for the most part, it's gone pretty well. They've had a couple of times where someone didn't weigh in the first hour. I think Nicolau was one time, actually, but it was because of, they were stuck in traffic or something, or whatever their excuse was. They had some reasonable, believable excuse. So I think it's like frowned upon right now. You're not going to be fined. You're not going to, probably the commissioner will just say, hey, next time, try and make it in the first hour. But it's not a hard thing.
I don't think they'll run into that here, since they're just basically walking down the hall.
Okay. All right. When you say when you say they. You're saying the fighters in general are just down the hall.
Yes. So who's left? We got Taveras. It's Taveras, Alvarez, and Kape. Was the last
Correct.
3?
Yep. All problem children, as it were.
As it were.
They've been to the principal's office, the weigh-in principal's office many times, and it's troubling. Greg 1937 says they're crushing numbers. The UFC, they're crushing numbers because their ticket prices are through the roof. Yep. Yeah. And guess what? People are paying. That's how it is. UFC can crank up those ticket prices all they want because they are busting up. What was the what do we see, guys? What was the last few some of the fight night events that hit the road? Let me see here. They went to Macau. We don't know that. Did we get a gate number for Macau?
I don't remember. Edmonton was the Moreno Albazi car was.
Yeah, and wasn't that like the
fight night gate in North American history?
Yeah, for UFC Fight Night, crazy. And then before,
Louisville.
Yeah, which set the record before that.
Which in Louisville beat St. Louis.
Oh my God, crazy.
Derek
And the
Lewis
Louis-
Rodrigo Nascimento broke the gate record, and then Jared Cannonier and Nasruddin Imavov broke that gate record, and then Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi broke that gate record. So I mean, they're just on fire, man. It's pretty incredible.
What a year. Really, the past 2-3 years for the UFC. Like, listen, there's no such thing as a company that can't fail. Like, there have been massive companies throughout history that have hit the highest of highs, and then something happens. Maybe it's out of their control. Maybe they just make a mistake, and then gradually you can go down. But right now, the UFC is about as hot as you can get. I mean, this is in terms of sports, in terms of entertainment. This is a white hot product. Not necessarily from a buzz standpoint. It's not like I'm saying like, oh, everyone's talking about the UFC at the water cooler every weekend, but it doesn't have to be. It's almost better than being buzzworthy. It is like established. It is consistent. It is a machine. Mike, you call it a machine all the time. You talk about how Dana White has won. Dana White has won the game of MMA. Like it is unreal.
And the crazy thing is, they still have like plenty of room to grow.
They do. They really do.
Like they're not even close to like where they could be, and this new TV deal that's coming up for 2020 or 2026 is super interesting, man. Like that's to me is the story of 2025 is like where they are going to land when they distribute their television rights and their streaming rights, because it could be multiple places. Like people who are way smarter about this than I am. Oh, I think we got movement, AK.
Here we go.
Next to the scale, Joel Alvarez.
$156.
Official weight 156 pounds for Joel Alvarez.
The one and only saying, wow, everyone was so quiet for that weigh-in. Yeah, that was dramatic. That was he looked very serious. He did not look confident that he was going to make, again, he probably never is when he gets up there. 156 for Joel Alvarez. His fight with Drakkar Klose is official. Thank goodness for Joel. Thank goodness for Drakkar, who, again, is just so close to climbing up those rankings. I think this is like his highest ranked guy. I don't even know if Joel has a ranking, but like, where are we here? No, lightweight is so deep. So neither guy has a ranking, but they would be somewhere in the top 20. So Grant Dawson's number 15, Jalen Turner number 14, Paddy number 13. But I would have like Drakkar and Joel somewhere in like the 16 to 20 range, no problem. Drakkar's last few wins: Joaquin Silva, Joe Selecki, Rafa Garcia, Brandon Jenkins. So again, it's unfortunate for Drakkar. He's not fighting big name guys. He's not fighting top 20. I don't want to put any of those names there in the top 20. He got a shot against Manel. He lost. No shame in it. Manel's a top 5, top 8 lightweight at worst. Bobby Green, Drakkar Klose has that win from a long time ago. Lando Venata, when Lando was a pretty big deal. It's a good resume. But it's not so strong that you can put him in the top 15. But he's close though. He's getting there. And I win over Joel probably doesn't get him there either. G5 is an absolute shark tank. It is ridiculous. And because I think Drakkar would give a tough fight to like anyone in the top. I think he's that good. It's just it's a lot of opportunity that you need to get.
It's the best division in the sport, AK.
Oh man, it just gets better. It's crazy.
Jed says it like so perfectly when you talk about guys like Joel Alvarez that he's not ranked, but on any given night, because of how talented and gifted he is skill-wise, he could beat anybody in the world.
Yeah.
And he's maybe like the 30th best lightweight in the world right now, which is insane. Absolutely ridiculous.
Shout outs to our pal Big Marcel. Big Marcel is asking, yo, is it 1 or 2 hours weigh-in? It is 2 hours. It is 2 hours, Big Marcel. It is. I believe they are doing the 2-hour window. But again, they encourage people to come in first. So we have 10 minutes left in the window. Hopefully we'll see Manel and or Ramon Tavares. And hopefully they'll at least be like if they don't make, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. But if by some chance they don't make, they're no more than like half a pound or a pound over, then we can all be confident that like, they'll talk to the doctors and they'll talk to the commission and we'll see them within the second hour. If someone comes in, like I told you, Kape's misses have been big. Kape's misses have been 3 and 3.5 pounds. So when Kape misses, he's not close. If he comes in 3 or 3.5 pounds, I think the fight is in jeopardy. I assume he will try to at least weigh in again to, get within range. And so the commission doesn't step in. And also maybe till he gets fined like 20% instead of 30%. But if Kape misses 130, by 3 or 3.5 pounds, he's probably still going to miss weight. It's an ugly scene. I hope we're just talking about this, guys, and it doesn't even matter because Manel is going to come in at a fit 156, maybe even 155 championship weight, make a statement that he wants Pantoja. That would be great to see. And
I hope he doesn't weigh 155 or 156.
Oh, well,
by the way, ladies and gentlemen,
that'd be bad. Yeah.
What a
Brendan.
legend.
What's up, Brendan? Is he on? Can we get Brendan on?
He's not. I would love if Brendan wants to chat. I would love to have him on here.
You know who I need to? My best friend. I know you talk to this guy all the time. I keep forgetting to get you to ask him. But John Anik.
We are gonna have a special guest here.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll go on my little John Anik rant. Positive John Anik rant.
All right, the man, the myth, the legend, my fellow New Englander, Brendan Fitzgerald, who's going to be calling the action tomorrow.
Brendan is also from New England.
Vacant
Everyone's from New England.
And 2 New England guys talking fights. This is phenomenal.
We got it all here, Brendan. So it's you, Paul Felder, and Michael Bisping, correct?
Correct. Yes, that's correct. Megan O'Leary reporting, and we're ready to have a grand old time.
It's actually a really good card. Colby Covington is back. I think this one threw a lot of people off because of all the craziness of welterweight, and we got movement, AK. We got movement, AK. Get excited. Drama potentially unfolding.
Thank you, Brendan, for joining us briefly, but the man's got work to do.
Next to the scale, Manel Kape.
Shine.
125.
Official weight 125 pounds for Manel Kape.
$125. Just like I said he was going to hit. Well, I said 155, which is, again, Mike was right. Probably good that he didn't hit 155. That would have been amazing if he did.
On the nose, championship weight, AK.
I would have really respected if he had come in at 155. That would have been like the greatest thing ever. But
AK,
yes.
Brendan Fitzgerald being the consummate professional.
Oh,
he's back to join us to continue the conversation. Joaquin
Go ahead, guys.
Against Colby Covington. Now, I actually asked Joaquin about this at Media Day because in this sport, things can change in an instant. And even perception of how fans view a fighter can change in an instant. And that is what has happened with Joaquin Buckley because he has the big win. He calls out Conor McGregor and everyone's like, ah. And then he beats Wonder Boy and calls out Ottman and everyone seems to be, he's back, I guess. And now he's fighting Colby Covington. What a year it could potentially be for Joaquin Buckley if he can get this done.
So what this guy's done at welterweight is just awesome. He's unbeaten at welterweight, and like his strength of schedule is so good. Off the top of my head, I can't. High quality competition, even in his losses. And he made his debut on short notice up a weight class against Kevin Holland. And we were just like, who's this guy? And he's turned into a real contender. It's awesome.
And Brendan, you are the man. And Ramon Tavares is about to step to the scale, AK.
Fantastic. Thank
Last
you
to the
again,
scale,
Brendan.
Ramon Tavares.
That new weigh-in system is really working.
Let's go, Ramon.
Official weight 136 pounds for Ramon Tavares.
Okay,
That
did it.
concludes official weigh-ins. We'll see you at the arena this afternoon.
Whew. I was sweating those last two. He did it. Ramon Tavares did it. Joel Alvarez did it. Manel Kape.
What a time to be alive, AK. I'm telling you. I mean,
Mike,
we got a little bit of drama, but it all worked out. I mean, this is, just a memorable morning weigh-in, and we got it done before the 1 hour mark. This is terrific stuff.
It works. It worked. I was sweating those last two, Mike. That was a lot of tapping for Kape and right. I think Kape because I think the guy was a little surprised. He was like, oh, whoa, 135. Yeah.
Remember the Abu Dhabi weigh-ins? Those are my favorite because they just step on the scale and they just slam it home. Like there is no tap. It's just, oh, you're close. Slam. You made it.
You're up close. Do you feel like that they did it properly today? Do you feel like that there was enough scrutiny? They were
doing it right. This was very reminiscent of the Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje weigh-in, where they were just like tip, and Oliveira missed weight and then they ended up getting stripped of the title.
Oh,
seemed like they were very meticulous with all of this, and we've done the thing, AK. The thing has been done.
Should we give people a little recap? Do you want to give? Are you able to give people a rundown, Mike, or is that are you juggling? Are they kicking you out now?
I'm going to let you gather that information.
Okay.
And he's back. Brendan Fitzgerald is back because
Brendan.
now we're not going to get interrupted again. Brendan,
yeah, go ahead, please.
Again.
I'm here. I might as well join Mike.
Yes, Brendan and Mike, the New England guys, but yeah, and Colby Covington hasn't fought in a year. So this is an interesting opportunity for him, considering what's going on at welterweight. Yes, Shavkat Rakhmonov is about to fight Bilal Muhammad. There are rumors and reports that Shavkat is a little dinged up. Perhaps he fought Ian Gary with the torn MCL. Haven't been able to confirm that information, but as you know, Brendan, the most important thing right now in today's modern UFC, wins and losses are great, star power is great, but your best friend is availability. So what is at stake for these two guys? Could potentially the winner of Saturday's fight somehow sneak in there and get a title shot?
You never say never, because Colby's 6 and Joaquin would climb to 6 with a win. And depending on injuries and availability and cards and what the UFC needs promotionally, you never know. I mean, look at Steve Erceg this year. Zhang Weili, I think, was 6 or 7 or something when she got the Andrade title shot early. So you're in the realm, especially when you get a win impressively. If Joaquin goes out and gets a highlight reel win, if Colby looks dominant in his victory after how he looked against Leon, he hinted at some altitude sickness issues last December that he was struggling with. So he says, that's not me past my prime. That was me on my worst day that was able to go the distance against the welterweight champion. So he expects to come back with a vengeance and, prove his worthiness of still being a championship level contender. And Colby sells. He is a lightning rod. He gets people to pay attention. And whether you love him or you love to hate him and you want to see him win or you'd love to see him lose in the worst way possible, he's a guy that sells and that gets attention for the fight cards that he's on. So he's still very much in play. We talked about Joaquin's just run and the fans getting behind him very quickly in 24. And there's a lot at stake on a big ESPN card to cap the year. People want to get their fill before the 3-week break. So it's awesome.
And then we got Cub Swanson, Hall of Fame fight with Duho Choi, fighting Billy Q, the hometown kid who showed up to media day just wearing the tropical gear, looking like a couple of milli out there. There is no way that these two guys don't go out there and deliver in front of a big, huge crowd at Emily Arena. It is just going to be so fun to watch these two guys get after.
Yeah, a lot at stake. And Billy Q was his wife, I think, was like 8.5 months pregnant when he fought Yusuf Zalal earlier. He's been candid about the fact that he does not thrive in the Apex environment. Some people like it, and some people that are there for the show and the glory and the energy that the crowd gives is, really motivates them and helps them get to their highest level. And Billy Q mentioned that. So he's back in an arena, but not just any, the one where he calls his backyard. He's been calling Tampa home for a long time. So he's certainly excited about it. Obviously, as a fight fan, I mean, he wasn't even training yet when he was watching Cub and his legendary fights. And then for Cub Swanson, we could have a moment. He hinted at maybe dropping the gloves against Andre Fili earlier this year. I think he's looking for a definitive result, win or lose, and he might call it. So it could be, another great fighter, Hall of Famer that we have to say goodbye to cap the year. So that's a moment that's possible. Billy Q really has a lot at stake in terms of getting back into what he was, a fun fighter that you love to watch. That's a winner. That's a grinder. He didn't have his best night against Yusuf because of a lot of different factors, but it's a great matchup. It's why our matchmakers are some of the best in the business.
It's an absolute banger. And then, of course, you talk about stakes in the main event. We got to talk about stakes at 125 because we just watched Alexander Pantoja just have the performance of his career against Kaya Sakura, who is absolutely no slouch. He looked absolutely amazing in that fight. But the problem is he's running out of fresh matchups and guys to fight. Not that I would complain about watching him fight Brandon Moreno or Brandon Royval 1,000 times because those two guys are incredibly exciting. But Manel Kape's in the mix. Bruno Silva's won 4 in a row. If he goes out there and beats Manel Kape, could be a really interesting challenge right now. Captain Eric, I talked to earlier, he is convinced that the winner of this fight is going to get a title shot. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's, again, it's a bit of a stretch, but Erceg was ranked 10. So anything's possible. And Manel Kape was expected to be like 1-2 wins in the UFC and into a title shot. They weren't going to give him a title shot right away back then. But I remember when he broke in and ultimately he, I think, lost a couple of split decisions in a row and it just really stumbled out of the gate. So now he's behind the 8 ball and working his way back up. But he's been highly touted since he was signed by the UFC as a guy that will be an eventual title challenger. Whether it comes after this one, we don't know. Certainly could come in 25 if he gets a big win. And Silva, you mentioned the 4 wins. He's gotten performance bonuses in every one of those wins. And he's another guy that just stumbled to start and he just turned it on, fights with more aggression and just willing to let it go. And it's lined up for him to the fact of 4 wins, 4 finishes, 4 performance bonuses in this weight class. I mean, that's awesome. So he could be into the top 10. And like you said, Pantoja has been looking for new blood. And that's what everybody wants that, again, I'll see Moreno and Pantoja in a best of 7. I don't care. Like that's, or Royval, right? Those are all fun fights. But in terms of kicking a log jam loose, sometimes a new guy is what it takes. So we'll see if that happens after what these guys show on Saturday.
One last thing, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here. It's not a bad thing. Don't worry. I'll let you carry on with your day. 2024 has been a very interesting year for the UFC. It's been a massive year for the UFC in terms of business. They're getting ready to head into the TV deal and all that, heading into 2025 and into 2026. But last card of the year, what will you remember most about 2024? I know we still have another card to go, and maybe the answer ends up happening on Saturday. But as of right now, 5-10 years from now, someone comes up to you and says, Brendan, tell me about the UFC in 2024. What's the first thing that's going to come to your mind?
I think there's 2. It's 300 and the Sphere. I mean, we built our schedule around that. And John Jones in the Garden was a moment. International Fight Week was to be Conor and Chandler, and we got the change on that. But to me, 300 was like a fight card that I don't know how we top it at 400. I know they'll try, and they got 8 years to figure out how, but 300 was such an epic night in terms of the depth of the card, in terms of the excitement. The weather was perfect. We had a big pre-show on the plaza. We get an all-time moment with the Holloway knockout. And then we get Pereira as part of his superstar power going to the next level. It's, of course, before he steps up, saves International Fight Week, headlines again in Salt Lake City. But 300 was just we have another legitimate crossover fighting superstar on our hands to cap what was an embarrassment of riches on that card, and just a big celebration. I know 30 years was last year, but to really celebrate what the UFC has become at the centennial milestone or the tricentennial milestone. And then Sphere was something we haven't seen that in sports history, to have a show and an athletic competition like that. Now it was carried out some of the results didn't line up for celebrating Noche UFC and how it all went down. But at the same time, I'll never forget those visuals and sitting octagon side, just being wow, this is the future. We're going to 2062 for a night, and then we're going to go back to arenas and all that sort of stuff. So I think we always manage to top ourselves each year. And like for the first time in a while, I'm just like, what are we going to do in 25 to like outdo 300 in Sphere? I don't know. We're going to try, and I'm sure we'll think of something, and it'll be fun to do so. But those were 2 events that never forget those if you're an MMA fan in any regard.
Absolutely. Brendan Fitzgerald, everybody.
Don't miss the Colby walkout. That's all I can say.
You teased some things, so it's
gonna
going to live up to the hype.
It's going to be a moment. It's going to be fun.
Oh, so there you go. A little information from Brendan Fitzgerald. A little teaser for tomorrow. Great to catch up with Brendan Fitzgerald, my fellow New Englander. AK, do you want to run down the weights before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I'll help people up. Thank you to the great Brendan Fitzgerald. Always pure class, such a nice guy. I mean, I won't even hold it against you and him that you guys are from New England. You know, that's not your fault. That's not a choice you could make. Yes, let's run down there. Thanks again to Brendan. Right at the top, guys, we got Colby Covington, Joaquin Buckley, both coming in 171. Your welterweight main event is official. And in the co-main event, Cub Swanson and Billy Quarantillo also making use of the extra pound for a non-title fight at 146. Manel Kape heading into a pivotal fight that could really set his 2025 campaign in motion. 125, championship weight for Manel Kape after previously having issues making weight on 2 other occasions. Championship weight. His opponent, Bruno Bulldog Silva, not to be confused with Blindado. Bruno Bulldog Silva, 126. Light heavyweights, Vitor Petrino, Dustin Jacoby, also on point. Petrino, 204.5. Dustin Jacoby, 205.5. Adrian Yanez, 136. His opponent, Daniel Marcos, 136. That's going to be a banger. And opening up the main card, light heavyweights, Navajo Stirling and Tuco Tokkos, both at 206. The prelims on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, starting at 7 p.m. Michael Johnson making his 30th UFC appearance, came in at 156. He fights Ottman Azaitar, also 156. We had 2 more lightweights for them, also coming in at the same weights. Joel Alvarez and Drakkar Klose. Joel Alvarez making us sweat it a little bit, but all those lightweights we just mentioned, 156, no issue there. Sean Woodson, 145.5 for his fight with fellow featherweight giant Fernando Padilla, also at 145. Oh, sorry, Fernando Padilla, 145. Woodson at 145.5. Miles Johns, Felipe Lima, 146. This is a featherweight bout. Miles Johns, of course, a sleeper contender at 135, but had a fight scheduled recently with Cody Garbrandt. It fell through. So rather than go through another grueling weight cut, he just, taking one fight at a featherweight, staying busy. And flyweight division, Miranda Maverick, Jamey-Lyn Horth, both coming in 126. Go Canada. Davey Grant, 136 for his fight with Ramon Tavares, also 136. And opening up the entire show in the prelims, Josephine Knudsen, 116 versus Piera Rodriguez at 116. So there you go, guys. 26 fights. Excuse me, 26 fighters, 13 fights. No weight.
Don't you scare me like that, AK.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this show. Mike, I believe the preview show will be on later today at noon Eastern time-ish.
Noon Eastern time, indeed.
Okay.
Best friend. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for making our days better. Jed will be on. I believe I'll be hopping on in cameo form with Jed, at least for a little bit. And then Casey will join to get the questions up there. And then I'll head over to Emily for ceremonial weigh-ins. And AK, after ceremonial weigh-ins, I'm taking a trip.
What?
Florida Mike is leaving Tampa and going elsewhere for the remainder of the evening.
Jacksonville?
Not Jacksonville.
No,
not Duval. Something very interesting is going to be heading to MMA fighting potentially later on tonight, so stay tuned for that.
What a tease! And Mike, what time are the ceremonials again? 5 Eastern.
4 p.m. 4
p.m. Eastern. Do you know if there's any pre-fight Q&A? Are they doing any pre-Q&A stuff? Are we gonna get?
Of course.
Oh,
of course. Oh no. Oh, one of those like press conference Q&As?
Yeah. No.
Oh no.
Okay.
None of that.
But tomorrow there will. Of course, there will be a pre-UFC Tampa. Yeah, pre-UFC Tampa Q&A on Saturday, guys. And thank you, Mike, guys. Mike, remember, Mike, say thank you to Mike, everyone. Giving us coverage all week. Continue tomorrow. Bye, Mike. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. MMA Fighting Rules. Bye-bye.